These episodes are where we recap our latest podcasts. We're going to go through them all and just sort of have a bit of a chat about the one percenters that have come out of each of them. So first off, it was quite a while ago now, we had Toby Mahoney from Urban Money come on, and he sort of talked about his one percenter, which was
checking in on yourself.
After that, we had Jeff come on. Jeff spoke a lot about controlling the controllables. And then we finished just very recently with Martin, who spoke a lot about gratitude. And on top of gratitude as well, he sort of spoke a lot about the power of relationships and stuff like that. So
yeah, some really good points.
Yeah, he had a lot of really good things to sort of touch on. And look, to be honest, I think all three guests that we had on over the past month have been absolutely sensational. So if you haven't already watched or listened to them, please jump on and give them a look, because they're definitely worthwhile. So
give them a like if they're good.
Yep. Give them a like, have a bit of a gaze. So they're all on our YouTube channel, all on Spotify and most of the other podcast platforms that are available online today.
Toby's, do we stepping through them one by one, or
I reckon let's jump into Toby's and let's sort of
check in with yourself. Have you been doing it?
Probably not consciously.
No.
Yeah, I think that's probably one thing we need to take away from all of this stuff that we come out with, whether it's Toby's checking in or like, it's good to do it consciously, but you don't have to. It doesn't have to be a formal thing all the time. I know your prioritization matrix. I'm like, oh yeah, this is really good, but I'm never going to do it. But I kind of do. It's just not on a piece of paper with the Post-it notes. So yeah, we just have to be realistic about how these get applied in real life.
Yeah, and we do want. It's not just for us to take away. We want our guests to take something away, and if it is trialing something for a couple of days, and then that's good. That's the aim. And if something works for you, then very, very good. If something doesn't, you've tried and you are aiming to be that 1% better every day, and that's what we're after. So,
yeah, and I mean, we spoke about this, I think at the beginning, we might not have said it for a little while. Like, I want everyone to think about, or we want everyone to think about this podcast as it's just a buffet. It's like a banquet of food. Like when you go to a banquet or a buffet or anything like that, generally speaking, you get a little bit of everything and you give everything a little bit of a go.
You'll at least sniff it.
Yeah, and like it doesn't mean that you're going to enjoy everything, you're going to like it or anything like that. So that's exactly how we want this to be taken. Like some things will be valuable for you, other things, you're just not going to use, and that's okay.
Just give it a lick.
Yeah,
just have a go. Yeah,
give it a lick. Just get into it, have a bit of a try, and some things. The other thing as well, some things that come up may be offensive for some people, but just don't stress about it too much.
Yeah.
And in terms of checking, like I had a couple of goes at it. I wasn't very good at it. Didn't seem to do too well with me, like taking time out to check in myself, but I've certainly taken more notice of where I am and what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling, and probably not so much. I'm aware of it and I'm also acting on it more now. So I don't know why, whether it's just from that, but there's been little instances where I've gone, oh, I'm a bit crabby today. I'll tell someone close that I'm crabby today and why I'm crabby, and then, that's opened something up, and that has helped. So that's something for me that has made a difference. I'm not saying it's made a massive difference, a life-changing experience, but, it's one little thing that has made things a little bit easier every now and then. So,
and I'm probably the same, mate. Like I haven't done the full sort of sit down, like cross your legs and sort of reflect on a day kind of stuff, but yeah, like I've definitely checked in on where I'm at a given point in time. And by where I'm at, I'm not talking like physical location. I'm just where I'm at mentally, like where is my emotions at, where, in the past month I've had quite a bit happening on with work and things, and getting to that point of being close to overwhelm, having that sort of that tool, I guess, or that understanding of checking in on myself really helped me to sort of be able to go, you know what, I think now is just where I'm just going to close the laptop and that's it for today. Like, I'm done. If I do any more, I'm going to, cause some mental health issues.
Yeah, right. So you've obviously identified some trigger points that cause you to sort of pull up, check in on yourself and figure out now's the time to close the laptop, now's the time to step away.
Yeah, I did. And for me, a lot of that was obviously like work based at the time, but yeah, I think it really made me sort of reflect on some of my own sort of self-care type stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I actually did a couple of things. Speaking to Toby there, and he was talking about apps and stuff like that. I had at the same time, it popped up that I had this free 3 months trial of Calm app on Xbox Game Pass, I think it was. And I was like, yeah, what the fuck? Let's have a crack. And it just I did it while Rose was away over in Melbourne. So fortunately, and I never, it wasn't particularly that check-in stuff, but it was definitely I did some guided sleep stuff, which was just, sort of like a sleep meditation-y sort of thing. And as I said, Rose was away. I was able to sit there and just lay in bed and listen to it and fall asleep. I slept really well. Absolutely petrified to do that with Rose back now because, it's,
Gonna find out.
You'll just, she'll find out now.
Maybe if she watches this.
She will. Clockwork Orange, I'll make her watch it. It's difficult with another person in the bed because you're just there and you're just chilling out and you got some Irish bloke just whispering about Ireland in your ears, really nearly ASMR sort of shit. But yeah, fucking slept like a baby, which was really good. So
me and Yaz do some, but I sometimes just want the rain sounds and sometimes she wants the talking and the guided sort of breathing and stuff like that. So it's like two opposites.
Yeah.
So, and then the next night we'll want it the opposite way around. We're like, it's so difficult. Like, let's move to another bedroom.
Yeah. No, I can't say that I've I haven't sort of progressed to that level yet, but I think it's probably a really good segue into sort of some of the stuff that I have been doing, like for my mental health, and that's really, really focusing in on Jeff's comments and his 1%ers and that controlling the controllables.
Yeah.
So the not getting real bogged down on what I can't control.
There is something in every situation you can control, I think. It's more around, something may happen to you and you might not be able to stop that, that big event that's happening, but you can control your response to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's 100% what Jeff was coming to, I think, is looking after the things you have got some sort of control of. Obviously, you got some handle on and sort of managing your responses to that.
Yeah, definitely. And in a smaller level, like since whenever that podcast was, I haven't asked myself that question that many times in my life than what I've asked in the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
Like every little thing, I'm like, well, can I control that? Like I can't. So it doesn't matter. Let's just find a solution if we need to find a solution, or let's not forget about it, but know that it happened, but also understand that I'm not in control of that. I can't change it. It is what it is, but I can change my reaction.
Yep.
And there's no need to be angry because then that's going to upset someone else and there's follow-on effects to that. There's no need to be bogged down in it. And that's easy to say, and it's also easy for people to get caught up in the whole being bogged down with it. But you do just have to really work hard at that moving on. If you've got other things you do to help yourself move on, whether you to try and forget that situation and move on, if you know what I mean. But yeah, if it's out of your control, you've got to find a solution to get through it and just move on.
And I know you said it's something that you've not necessarily taken up doing since Jeff's podcast, but something you've been doing over the course of quite some time.
Yeah, so that just from a personal level, like looking at on this sort of journey for quite a while and understanding that, I can't control everything from, looking and YouTubers and all that kind of stuff around stoicism and understand, like trying to just have a better work-life balance and personal sort of mental health stuff that I was really struggling with. I think I sort of spoke a little bit about being fearful of probably, burnout and that kind of stuff and getting close to that point. When you're sort of at that really shitty sort of mental health sort of that point of the continuum, like we talk about the mental health continuum in mental health first aid. And when you're at that shit end of the stick, so the average end of mental health, you're not thinking logically very well.
Yep.
Your logical brain's not really firing on all cylinders. So that's where for me it's really important to if I can put a little bit of energy into trying to understand, like, is that something that I can influence? Is that something that I can control? And if it's not, just fucking don't worry about it.
Rose is another big one with that. Like, and I know as blokes, we're probably really bad at taking our own advice. You know, we will readily just say, you know, don't worry about it. Just pass it by. There's heaps of memes out there. There's a really funny one that I might send to Aaron and he might stick it up on the video. But yeah, that you know, Rose would come home stressed from work. I'm like, don't worry about it. You're home from work now. Just worry about it tomorrow when you get back to work. Oh, you can't. But I wasn't taking that advice. And I think now I'm probably a little bit more acceptable or receptive of that sort of advice. I know over the course of the last little while, I whipped myself up into a frenzy at work, and it's only just it took me some time to get to the point. It's like, hey, I can't control this. I'm just going to sort of I'm here for the ride, going to control what I do, but everything else is up, fair game. Que sera. Yeah.
No, it is one of those things with understanding other people on it, because, yeah, it's easy to say, oh, just move on from it, doesn't matter. And a follow-on to being able to control those controllables, I suppose, is then to be the next step is to, what can I do? You can't just say, don't worry about it. Instead of saying, don't worry about it, that's a problem. What can I do to help? Because then you can control something in that situation.
Well, that sounds like a really good segue just into Martin's, our latest podcast, where Martin's 1%er was based around gratitude. And I know that afterwards, or maybe even during, we were sort of talking a little bit about contentment, you know, being happy and content with what you have. So I believe in this a lot. It's something that theme of contentment and how we need to be more happy with, you know, what we have, and don't be constantly sort of trying to compare ourselves with everyone else. And some people sort of say keeping up with the Joneses, but, you know, I digress. And that's, you know, not necessarily 100% of what Martin was sort of talking about as far as gratitude. What did you guys sort of take away from it?
Yeah, I suppose he's just being grateful for what there is. And he did also talk a lot about the relationships, and I don't know whether there was a tie between those with the, you know, being grateful for the relationships that you have and target it towards that. But, you know, for me, something that I've spoken in previous podcast, we do, what was your favourite part of the day at the dinner table? We now do, and what are you grateful for today? And whether that be that, you know, you were lucky enough to have a hot shower in the morning, or, you know, it was a sunny day and you were grateful that you were able to play outside all day. So something like that, that's sort of how I took it. I mean, everyone's going to take it their own little way, but that's something that I did take out of it. The relationships building, I've probably had a little bit more of a focus on, you know, checking in with those longer term mates that you don't hear from as much, and, you know, making that phone call. So, but each and everyone's going to take something different away from that, and we hope that you do.
Yeah, I took it a couple of ways. It came at an interesting point. I was listening to some other podcasts around about that time, and there was another podcast that said exactly what Martin said. You know, show some gratitude. You know, accept that. You know, their version of gratitude was like, just go, well, things could be worse, and, you know, that's always the case. Martin's was obviously like, look at that situation and identify. You know, this is an opportunity for a learning for you. It's probably an opportunity for learning for someone else, and a bit of it. I think he said it as a strategy. You know, you can develop a strategy from that experience that you've got there. And then on a smaller scale, I've also myself been sort of trying to show a little bit, like actually show a little bit, like rather just have gratitude bouncing around my head, show some gratitude to some people that are actually doing some good things for me. So it's just been a little bit more present with the family and sort of making it known that I appreciate them and that, you know, we're doing good things. So
yeah, no, that's a really good one. Yeah.
Yeah. I think all three were actually, like, were really amazing, and all three of us have sort of taken them and somewhat implemented them, or had already been doing sort of similar things in our lives already. So, you know, the proof's in the pudding. It does work. Like, it's something that those little tiny changes can make such a massive difference to people's lives. And that's what we're all about. We're all about providing people with that opportunity to learn from just random blokes. Like none of us here, as we've sort of mentioned before, come generally from a clinical background or anything like that. We're just sort of talking a little bit of shit really, and just sort of a little bit of advice on, what are some of the suggestions that we'll make to make everyone that sort of 1% better. So if you've got something out of this episode and others, please feel free to like and share around the place. That would be very much appreciated. And we'd love for you to subscribe so you can, stay in touch with what we've got coming on YouTube. We've got some absolute bangers coming out in the next few weeks with some, really amazing guests. So, stay tuned for that. But thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.